Mic check, mic check.
Mic check, mic check.
All right. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the GG Dispatch. I'm Jeremy,
I'm Alan.
and you are officially tuned in to the GG Dispatch. Each week on Tuesday, bright and early, we consolidate the week's biggest headlines in gaming news. Whether you're listening to us on your commute or during your workout, or you just have us on in the background, we really appreciate y'all listening in. I got a handful of you out there, and so again, thank you for just kind of tuning into this corner of the internet. You know, there are a lot of gaming podcasts out there that you could be listening to, and so we appreciate you taking some time out of your day to just hang out with us a little bit, chat, talk about gaming stuff. But rather than digging right into gaming stuff, I actually wanted to start off by sharing that, Alan, I went and saw a particular movie not once, but twice in the last 3 days. And that was Godzilla Minus One. This movie is amazing. There's been a lot of like hype and buzz around it online. And as of right now, it's the highest rated Godzilla movie of all time on IMDb. And it's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes. And overall, it's a fantastic film. Like whether you're into Godzilla or not, like that's what really speaks to the quality of this film, I think, is like even if you're not a big Godzilla or kaiju person, you can go in and really enjoy this film. And so, well, first of all, I guess, like, are you a big Godzilla person, Alan? Like, have you watched a lot of Godzilla in the past, or is that something that you're interested in?
Not too much. I did watch the Godzilla from I think it's 2014 with Bryan Cranston from Breaking Bad.
Mm,
So
hmm
since he was in it, I was like, oh, okay, I'll go check this out. And I did like that one. I did think that was a good movie.
hmm
And actually, I did want to ask you, were you able to see it on IMAX? Like, is it available on IMAX?
I think it is in some IMAX theaters. I wasn't able to see it there. I saw the first one like in a sort of standard screening, and then yesterday night, kind of late, I saw it in a Dolby presentation, and that was fantastic. But I really want to see it on a bigger screen too. The issue is it's currently planned to leave theaters on Thursday because it's from Japan, so Toho brought it over. It's the 70th anniversary sort of production for Godzilla, and so they launched it, and then in the theater, out the theater, pretty much like a quick kind of turnaround. And so I don't know if I'll get a chance to catch it in an IMAX theater, but I definitely would go back for a third time if I had a chance because it's just really really good. So um, I it got me thinking about that sort of era of video games. So obviously, like Rampage, I think is fairly well known. Maybe not so much amongst the youngsters anymore, but I feel like Rampage was fairly iconic as like an arcade title where you could play as one of these various like large monsters and destroying buildings and kicking tanks and like doing all this kind of fun stuff. And that sort of evolved over the years. And I think really the Dreamcast era, what Dreamcast had a handful of titles I think like that, and then also PS2 maybe, but there was this point in time, and I don't know if I'm crazy or if you agree or like played any titles like this, where the main point of the game was just to like wreck shit. like that's all you did. Like you just went into a city, you were a monster. There were Godzilla titles for sure, but there were also kind of similar ones where you were just this huge monster and you just went in and destroyed stuff. And honestly, maybe I missed it. Maybe it just totally flew under the radar. And if so, like I would love people to let me know, like let me know on Twitter or whatever. Maybe Alan, but like I feel like that really hasn't happened. Like that kind of game hasn't really been put out in a while. And I think it's time for a comeback, honestly, because I'm now in like a kaiju mode. I really want to play a game like that. I think it would be awesome.
Yeah, I don't think nothing's really coming to mind like recently that with that kind of gameplay.
Yeah.
I think probably a good opportunity would be that Pacific Rim franchise because you have not just the kaiju, but you also got the robots, like really cool robot designs. You got Charlie Day, so you have like recognizable figures in those movies. So I think if someone did try to revive, Pacific Rim is probably the way to go. Like I feel like in Godzilla, you're too limited to just Godzilla and the monster.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. I think there would be, yeah, Pacific Rim would be a good option, and then you could also get to kind of work in the giant mech element of it as well. Um, so that could be a cool element too. But anyways, if there are any game developers out there sitting on a bunch of money, wondering what they should make next, make a kaiju game. Let us destroy cities. Um, you have one sale, and that's me. Okay, but enough about that. Enough about my greedy video game desires and requests. We have 6 stories today, and the top line is a big one. It's a pretty big one. We were talking about this last week, and that is the GTA 6 trailer is here. It's here
Early,
early.
early.
It arrived early. The stork brought it early. Unfortunately, because it got leaked. Um, like, fortunately or unfortunately, I mean, you can kind of take either side of the fence, I guess. Like, you know, it's interesting. I've seen some of this discourse on Twitter already. Like, some people are like, "Yay! Like, we can see this stuff early because we have access to information, and whatever. Like, we get to build this hype early or whatever." And other people are like, "Oh man, this really sucks." Like, Rockstar had a plan. The developers had a plan. Like, everybody was they probably had like a watch party set up. Like, they were probably all getting really excited to roll this out and share that moment with the fans. And now it's kind of been preempted and a little bit ruined, which is a bummer, I think. But anyways, it's here and it looks awesome. I've only seen it once so far, and I think, yeah, it looks fantastic. Apparently, it's rendered in-game footage, like in-engine footage, and it looks superb. But Alan, I think you've played it back quite a few times. I'm curious if you have any insights or thoughts on what you're seeing in this trailer, what really excites you or interests you. Um, yeah, what did you see in this trailer that really makes you go like, oh yeah, can't wait for this to get here?
Yeah, so personally, on the side of this is awesome that it came out early. We get to talk about it hot and fresh. Otherwise, we have to wait till next week to discuss it.
That's true.
But
That's
it
true.
does
We do get
suck.
to talk about this now. Yeah.
Yeah, but it does suck for Rockstar. They like you said, they had a plan. They were gonna do what they're gonna do. But hey, I think it's cool that they kind of just saw it go out there and like immediately like, hey, just here you go, watch it in the full quality because the leak was very low quality, like 240p or something like that. They had like a big like watermarker for Bitcoin or something dumb like that.
Yeah, sure.
Um, but and I did get to watch it a couple of times. It looks incredible when you look at those graphics that they got going on compared to GTA 5. It's nuts. Not just how nice it looks, but the amount of diversity that you see in those character models, in
Hmm.
the styles, you get all kinds of tastes of Florida there, not just Miami. And I've been to
Right.
Miami a couple of times in my life because I live in Florida.
Hmm.
So I feel like they absolutely nailed Florida to a T. Kind of scary that they nailed it that hard. Um, but again, just it looks incredible. Like I can't believe like I would have to wait a year to like actually be able to play this. And they just make our minds melt.
Yeah.
Uh, so what I want to know from your perspective, because again, like I think you kind of not I say avoided GTA, but kind of you never really like, got into it.
Right. Yeah.
And I kind of like was like, hey Jeremy, get GT5. It's on sale at
Yeah.
Walmart, and then you got it for $15. So I'm wondering, like, did seeing this trailer kind of get you a little more hyped for jumping into GTA 5?
I mean, yeah. I think there's definitely it definitely feels like a very rich world, like a very rich and big world. And so, seeing this trailer made me, really interested in learning more about the characters and kind of like digging into that. Um, you know, I thoroughly enjoyed my time in Red Dead Redemption 2. And there are some intricacies and nuances among the NPCs and such that you just don't see in other open world games. Like Rockstar really was ahead of the curve there, right? And so, like when you get your hair cut, right? And like NPCs are like, hey, your hair's looking good, like that sort of thing. Like the very like absolutely minuscule details that go into your gameplay in Red Dead Redemption 2 makes me very excited for what kind of detail will be in GTA 6 when it arrives in 2025, right? So I don't know if necessarily the setting is of particular interest to me. Like, no offense to Florida or Miami or anything like that. It doesn't it doesn't resonate as much. I'm definitely interested in exploring it, but it's not like in Red Dead, I keep going back to it, but like in Red Dead Redemption 2, when you saw all those like sweeping shots of like the mountains and the snow, and you go through the desert and there's like the plains and like all of these really rich environments, or even like Ghost of Tsushima, right? That has, the very vibrant, like cherry blossom trees and just some really amazing sort of backdrops in a more natural sense. Like those sorts of things speak to me quite a bit. Um, Urban settings have their own like draw and their own complexity, of course. Like I would argue it's immensely more challenging to like build a thriving, vibrant, city block in a video game than it is to build a beautiful looking forest with some like natural wildlife moving around, like even the leaves fluttering and stuff. Like technically, and I'm totally, making this up, but just like my layman's perspective would be that the former, that urban setting, would be way more challenging on a technical level. And so on that front, I think GTA 6 is very exciting because it seems like they are going to have that level of detail. It's not just going to be like Tears of the Kingdom where it's like, hey, you want to go climb that mountain? You can do it. It's going to be like, hey, you want to walk into that shady looking apartment on the seventh floor down that block on the right? You can, like, I think it just is a whole different level of open world. And I'm definitely interested in digging into GTA 5, but more importantly, I'm really interested to see what sort of technical advancements come with GTA 6. Like, I think it'll be really, really cool to see.
I think another interesting thing to point out is the fact that the main characters seem to be like a couple. It's like there's never, I don't think we've seen that
Yeah.
particular
Yeah.
dynamic in a Grand Theft
Uh-huh.
Auto before.
Yeah.
So I'm really interested, like, how are they going to handle that? Is the female character going to be the first female character that's going to be playable in Grand Theft Auto?
Right.
Uh,
Yeah.
and just seeing how they treat that story.
I'm I'm almost done with Spider-Man 2, and I am very curious if it'll have a similar sort of mechanic in terms of switching between the characters, right? Like if you can have sort of parallel narratives going on between the two characters, or like you proceed one character story and then you can proceed the other character story, and then there are points where the narrative meets between the two, right? But then as you're exploring the city, at any point you can switch to the other character, like maybe you're pulling off a heist or something, and then you switch to the other character and you're like out gambling or whatever it is you're doing, right?
Oh,
So
Jeremy,
what
they already did that in Grand Theft Auto 5.
they did? Oh shoot.
Yeah,
Okay, well
I
then,
can't
hey,
wait for you to get to that. I can't wait for you to get that in GTA 5.
well then it'll definitely do that. Okay, well then you're welcome, Rockstar. I'm glad I came up with that whole concept for you. But yeah, so I think it'll be really interesting. Like you said, the first female playable character in a GTA series. Yeah, that's a great milestone as well. And I'm just really interested in seeing the depth that the world has to offer, the city has to offer, and how far out the map will be. Because that's another thing that people always talk about, right? Is like the size of the map. Like
Yeah,
how
yeah, yeah.
how big are they going to be able to go on it?
Yeah, for sure. Anybody listening, like, go watch it. Even if you're not like a big GTA person, just get like Rockstar has just a way of making these trailers that to me they're the best of the game. Like I don't know if there's anybody else who can make a trailer that good to like instantly hook you to uh put across the vibe of what that game is going to be.
Yeah, No, they do a great job with their trailers for sure. So, um, and yeah, 2025. I think there was also some conversation about like the wait. Um, and I think we had a conversation about like Mass Effect, the next Mass Effect title, like being like 5 years away or something, which obviously is way too long to be waiting for a video game. But I think 2025 arguably is like the sweet spot. Like, I think it gives Rockstar a lot of runway to release more previews, to release more like trailers, to kind of show, kind of phase in all the different features and things that will be in this game, so that by the time it gets here, like the hype is like properly built. um I don't think it's too far off. I think 2024 is going to fly. Like, it's going to come and go like that. um and I think it'll be here before we know it. So I'm excited for 2025 now. Now we know what game of the year will be potentially.
No, I agree. The messaging is good. How far back they decided to like announce it. And I'm saying like let them cook. Like we've already waited over 10 years for this. What's another year and like a month or whatever? A year and a couple of months.
Yeah, yeah, for sure. All right. So that was story number one. Story number two is don't get too excited about the idea of the Elder Ring Shadows of the Erd Tree DLC being shown off at the Game Awards, because producer says that it's still a little ways off. And this is from George Foster at The Gamer. Uh, Elden Ring's lead producer Yasuhiro Kitao has revealed in a recent interview that the release of the Shadows of the Erd Tree DLC is, quote, still a little ways off, end quote. As great a year as 2023 has been for video games, it's a bit of a torturous wait for Elden Ring fans. Right at the very start of the year, From Software confirmed the name of the first big expansion for the game, Shadow of the Erd Tree, and shared a piece of concept art for that seems to show Miquella and possibly even Torrent. And since that initial review or reveal, we've seen literally nothing of the expansion and have no idea what it's going to entail. Well, it looks like we're going to be kept waiting a little bit longer for news on the expansion, as Elden Ring's lead producer Yasuhiro Kitao has confirmed in a recent interview that it's still a little ways off. So, um, he says, I'll talk about the DLC another time. It's still a little ways off, but progress is going well. Like Bloodborne, it has new battles and characters. Please look forward to new things. So, um, yeah, I don't I was hoping personally, as an Elden Ring fan, that we would see something for Shadows of the Erd Tree. Um, I'm glad that Yasuhiro is letting us down gently on this one, but I don't know what are well. Did you get into Elden Ring at all, Alan, or no?
No, I've never gotten into the whole Bloodborne Souls
Oh,
type
that's too
games.
bad. That's too
But
bad.
like I did enjoy watching some of my favorite streamers like play it like Andy Cortez from Kind
Mm,
of Funny play it with Snowbike Mike and Nick. So those
yeah,
were
yeah.
funny streams and it was interesting to watch. And it's definitely a bit surprising that they haven't put out DLC yet. It's been a bit, hasn't it? Didn't the game come out like 2 years ago at this point?
Yeah, I believe it was 2021. Yeah, it was
Yeah,
2021.
yeah.
Hmm.
So like I'm surprised they've taken this long, but from what the impression that I get is that like the Bloodborne DLC was like incredible. So if it matches that level of quality, I'm sure people are not going to mind the wait.
Yeah. Um, Oh no, Elden Ring was released in 2022. Sorry, fact check real quick here.
Okay,
February 2022. So it's
well,
been
we're coming up on February 2024.
no, so we're coming up on 2 years. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
So I mean, it's been a bit. I mean, granted, the nature of the game itself means that there's tons of content that people are still exploring and enjoying. But yes, I think there's definitely opportunity there to get the DLC rolled out, so that it can bring back some of those former players and spark interest in the lands between again. So I'm excited to get back into it. I'm not the kind of person that like went back and like kept leveling up and playing around all the different specs and invading people's worlds and stuff. Like, I played it. I beat the Elden Beast after like 5 days of like grinding on that guy, and then I unlocked like a couple endings, and then I just kind of put it to bed. But definitely looking forward to seeing more content for this game, because it's iconic. It's one of the best games that we've had this decade for sure, and arguably, uh, in the modern era. So very excited for that. Speaking of games that are kind of coming back, or kind of a redemption arc, I guess, on the other side of things, is Cyberpunk 2077. Which will have new and hotly anticipated gameplay elements incorporated in its 2.1 update. And so this is from Hirun Cryer from Games Radar. So uh, Cyberpunk 2077 is getting a free update alongside its Ultimate Edition next month, and the devs will reveal what's in the new update tomorrow. Well, they released what would be in the new update. That was a few days ago at this point. So there are going to be a number of updates coming out for the release, which is actually tomorrow now, December the 5th. And this is just part of the continuing, I think, redemption arc for Cyberpunk 2077, which, those of us who were keeping an eye on CD Projekt Red and all of their projects. They came off of Witcher 3. They were the darlings of the gaming industry. They could do no wrong in our eyes. And then they released an exceedingly buggy Cyberpunk 2077 1.0 and very quickly depleted the goodwill of their entire fan base. But in the years since, they have been able to, roll out additional updates to vastly improve quality of life in terms of gameplay, and then more recently, the Phantom Liberty expansion was very well received, and now we had the Cyberpunk 2.0 update on the base game, and now we have 2.1 coming with even more new features. So, great news for Cyberpunk fans, newly discovered Cyberpunk fans, or folks who are just happy to see CD Projekt Red kind of getting back on the right track with this title. What are your thoughts on this, Alan? Have you been invested in Cyberpunk at all, or are you just like it had its chance and I'm not really interested?
So actually, I ended up picking up Cyberpunk during a sale at Best Buy for like $5.
No way! Oh,
So
sweet.
yes, so like I've been waiting for this moment. I'm like, I'm gonna buy it on this five in hot trash and hope that redemption arc hits.
Sure,
And
sure.
so, one of these days I will go and play it. But I think that this shows just how underbaked that initial release was. Like that was basically early access.
Hmm.
But when you look at the state that Cyberpunk 2077 is in right now, if it had launched in this state, like it would have blown people away.
Hmm.
I think it easily probably would have won Game of the Year that year. Like it's it's really unfortunate that they shot themselves in the foot like that. And I think maybe the better option for them would have been like, hey, we're putting it out in early access. We got to get out there and we'll charge you early bird fee or whatever. And I
Sure.
think that would have been far more well received than what they put out. But it is nice that they did in fact keep going with it and that they have continued to improve it, and that people who kind of like, this game sucks, I'm just gonna avoid it now, like myself, and picked it up for like $5 from Best Buy, can then pick up like the Liberty City, I think, pack, is that what it's called?
It's
The DLC?
Phantom Liberty. Phantom Liberty.
Phantom
Yeah.
Liberty, okay.
Yeah.
Pick up that DLC, what is it, like 15, $20? And all of
Yeah,
a sudden,
I got it in a bundle on Black Friday, and I think it was like 38 for both. So like it was, or 40 or something like that. So yeah, but you got a
yeah.
really good deal on the base game, so that's great.
No, yeah, yeah. Like,
Yeah.
that the $25 and I'm gonna be able to enjoy something incredibly well polished and
Yeah.
fun.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, that's the argument for waiting, right? If you can be a patient gamer, right, you can pick up a game that might be lagging a bit, might be suffering from some general uh, poo-pooing from the broader community, and then like No Man's Sky, for example, right? I'm sure there was a time when you could pick up No Man's Sky for $5 too, in like a GameStop or something, and then they released more updates and made the co-op better and just built that out, and then all of a sudden now you've got yourself a bargain on your hands for getting a game like that for such a good price. So yeah, I'm happy for CD Projekt Red. I hope they'll continue on the right and narrow here, and set them up to perform well for the forthcoming next Witcher title as well, which I believe they've talked about off and on, kind of cryptically. So we'll see how that goes. All right, next story number three. Yeah, three. Nope, four. Sorry, I can't count. Additional Resident Evil remakes are on the way. And so this is from IGN, from Ezra Crab and Wesley Yinpool. It says, after the success of the Resident Evil 2, 3, and 4 remakes, Capcom has confirmed plans to continue the trend, although it stopped short of announcing which Resident Evil game is next in line for the remake treatment. At a PlayStation Partner Awards event in Japan, attended and translated by IGN Japan, Resident Evil 4 remake director Yasuhiro Anpo said the company will announce its next Resident Evil remake in due course. Yes, Anpo replied when asked if Capcom wants to keep making Resident Evil remakes. We've released 3 remakes so far, and they have all been received very well. Since it allows a modern audience to play these games, it is something I'm happy to do as someone that loves these older games, and we want to continue doing more. What game we will remake in the future is something that we would like to announce in the future, so please look forward to it. Are you excited by this? Is this something that gets you to go, oh, hell yeah, or no?
Yeah, it's fun. I got again being patient gamer. I got like the Resident Evil 2 and 3 remake pack for like $10 off of PSN last Black Friday.
Nice.
So I think that it's logical that they're going to go back and make one. I would hope that's the one I think they need it the most. Is the first one, because that is like really dated looking now in 2023. So to be able to get the same polish and the graphics and everything they've gotten with 2 and 3 and 4 to go back to 1 would be nice. And I do think there are a couple of other titles that they could remake. I think from the GameCube era. I think like Resident Evil Zero. I think, or Code Veronica. Is Resident Evil Zero Code Veronica, or are those two separate?
I think it was. Yeah, let me check really quick.
Okay, well, again, just to be able to have that on a modern platform that you can just easily play, it's convenient. It's good. I think it's going to bring in new people who haven't had the opportunity to go back or just weren't around to play that game when it came out, and bring the old school back in as well. The folks who were around to play it will be happy to have it in a new way, and just to be able to see the jump from like 1 to whatever they come up with now, it's going to be awesome.
Yeah, it was Code Veronica and Zero were both different games, and there was a YouTube video a number of months ago that said that the Resident Evil Code Veronica is the next remake they're probably working on, and that it quote got leaked. I don't know. Take that with a massive grain of salt, of course, but I think that might be on the radar. But yeah, they were different titles. Zero and Code Veronica were different titles. So.
No, yeah, keep them coming. I think it's great. I think that this is just kind of the way it's going to be from now. We're going to get a lot of remakes and remasters, a lot of games from, I think, that PlayStation 1 era did not like age as gracefully as from some other eras. So, and also, game companies, it's easy for them to go back and bring back an IP that people recognize and know versus getting something new. All that's not to say that I don't want to see anything original. That's nice too. But I think it's good to have both.
Yeah, definitely. All right, story number 5. Arkham Trilogy is out on the Switch, and it's terrible. It is god-awful. It is unplayable. This is from Gaming Bible's Kate Harold. Well, this isn't what we wanted to hear. Some players are calling Batman Arkham Trilogy on Nintendo Switch partially unplayable. It was always going to be an ambitious port. It is a well-known fact that while the Switch is a fantastic console, it struggles to cope with the kind of open-world games we might find on PlayStation or Xbox. You need not only look at the recent Hogwarts Legacy as an example. Many fans say it shouldn't have been released after finding the number of sacrifices that were made in order to get the game running, essentially taking away a lot of what indeed made the world open in the first place. And they also reference a basically there was a Twitter video of a guy capturing kind of like the frames per second, and one of the scenes where you're doing like the bat tank um, uh, destruction kind of missions where you're like blowing up cars and stuff, and I think it dropped to like 20 frames per second or less or something. And so it looked really really bad, and so I guess it's disappointing, like you want the ports to be executed well. You want there to be some strategy involved, and especially after Mortal Kombat 1 had such a debacle coming out on the Switch. um you would think other studios would, you know pay heed to that, and like try and either scuttle it if they need to, or try to make sure, like, if they are going to port over something that's not quite complete, that at least what is complete looks really good and polished. So I guess I don't know. Any
Yeah,
any other thoughts on this, Alan, in terms of like getting games on the Switch and their performance woes?
yeah, this one bums me out. Those are really good games. Those Batman Arkham games.
Yes, they
So
are. Yeah.
it's disappointing because we've seen other games from that era that are open world, like Red Dead Redemption 2 came out on the Switch. Now, it was just a straight port, but like it runs well. People were just upset that they didn't do much of anything else. So to see it run this poorly, I hope it's one of those situations kind of like Cyberpunk, where it's like, we know it's not ready, but like we just got to get out and start making money on it, and then hopefully we can keep improving it after it's released. But I don't know enough about whatever studio is that released it to be able to say, yeah, it's going to get better over time. I hope it does, because again, those are solid games, and having those available on the Switch is nice because of the whole, it's portable. You can play on TV. Uh, so yeah, it sucks. Hopefully, it gets better.
Yeah, for sure. All right. Last story number 6. We've got the Fallout trailer, which went live this week. So the Fallout TV trailer is out. Alan, have you had a chance to watch it yet?
I did actually. It looks cool. Like I don't know much about the Fallout world,
Hmm.
so I'm just kind of taking it at face value, like just what I'm looking at. And it looks like it could be good. Like it doesn't look terrible at least.
Yeah. Yeah, I saw it as well, and I'm interested. I know that there's going to be some, you know, probably some discourse around like the use of humor in this story, like, because Fallout, definitely is kind of tongue in cheek, right? Like they have a lot of sort of um, like kind of silliness fused into this like very bleak dystopian view of the world, right? Where you have these massive mutants kind of stalking the irradiated wastelands. Um, and so I am curious to see how that humor actually executes in the final product. But overall, I'm excited. I think Amazon does some decent IPs and some decent programming. So I'm looking forward to seeing how Fallout pans out. I don't think it'll be The Last of Us by any means. I think that it'll be. But then again, Twisted Metal did surprisingly well given the source material, right? So I think we might see something kind of similar to that, where maybe it gets a bit more of like a cult following, um, and folks who enjoy the Fallout franchise will find things to connect with and enjoy, where while it might not have the same kind of breadth of appeal, more universal appeal that maybe Last of Us had. So I don't know. I'm optimistic, but I'm an optimistic guy. So
Yeah, I'll be checking it out.
yeah, for sure. Speaking of checking stuff out, there are some new games coming out this week, but not a ton. Well, I mean, that's not true. There's always a ton of games coming out, but none of them that really are jumping out at me. Um, let's see here. We've got uh, Sonic Dream Team coming to iOS. So if you're looking to play some Sonic games on the go on your phone, that's coming out on the 5th, which is tomorrow, or today, if you're listening to us today, right? Um, Outer Wilds Archaeology Edition. So here's another Switch port that's coming for Outer Wilds. That'll be arriving in a couple of days on the 7th. And then there's also Warhammer 40,000 Rogue Trader in a couple of days as well. So again, I think we're past a lot of the higher profile games. There are a handful of really exciting ones coming in January. Persona 3 Reload, I believe, the new Yakuza game. So yeah, we have a few exciting titles coming out in January, and then of course, looking into 2024 a bit later in the year, we have Final Fantasy VII Rebirth, we have Dragon's Dogma 2. But we'll both talk a bit more about the games that we're really looking forward to in the coming year on a future episode, probably in a couple weeks here, as we reflect back on 2023 and offer our personal picks of our best game of the year. But in the meantime, Game Awards are this week, so look forward to that as well. I believe they're on Thursday.
What do you think's
Jeff,
winning? What do you think's gonna win Game of the Year?
uh, what do I think it's going to win? I think it's going to be
Yeah.
Baldur's Gate 3.
Okay, I think it'd be Tears of the Kingdom.
Nah.
No,
Nah.
okay.
Nah.
You
I'm
think
doubling
that?
down. I'm saying nah. But I think it's a great game, and I think and this kind of goes back to the indie game debate, right? Because I think a lot of people really admire what Larian did. Like, they're a big studio, they put out successful games before, but to put out something so expansive and so detailed with a smaller team like Larian has versus like the behemoth that is Nintendo, I think is going to earn them a bit more of those accolades, or at least kind of gives them a leg up in that sense. I think so. I think it'll end up
Gotcha.
being Baldur's Gate 3, but we'll see. Maybe TOTK will pull off a upset. Never know. Um, Anything else, Alan? Did you spot any good deals? Alan, you're always on the hunt for
Yeah,
a good deal. So
yeah. Right now at Walmart, if you're looking for an Xbox Series X, it's on sale for $349.99, so $150 off MSRP. And they have either the sort of console vanilla, or you can get the one that's bundled with Diablo 4, and they're both $349.99. So if you're in the
that's
market
crazy.
for
You
one,
can get the one with the Diablo 4 bundle for the same price.
yeah, it's weird. I don't know why that's what Walmart's doing. So take advantage. Obviously I would
Dang.
say just get the Diablo 4 bundle.
Yeah.
But yeah, they're
Get a free
both
game,
there.
man. Get a free game.
Exactly.
All right. Well, you heard it here first. Well, maybe not first, but you heard it here. So go take advantage of those deals. And until next time, keep gaming.
See ya.